Hello, Richard Lewald, and I have been a health advocate for the past 46 years and continue to expand in trying to help educate, create more awareness of how important it is to be proactive in your health journey. As they say, your health is your wealth, and in so many aspects it is. And you cannot put a price tag on your health. Although people sometimes get fooled into it and they buy health insurances and life insurances. None of these are really truly fitting the definitions that they're being sold to us for, okay? Yet so readily, so easily we buy into it. So much rather than, when you're spending a lot of time and money perhaps working and putting monies into these type of things, it's like, if health is truly your wealth, and you'll find that to become a reality as a challenge perhaps comes your way, and sometimes serious challenges do come our way. And we find that when people, particularly nowadays, in some places, I know that in the USA, people get serious health challenges. It could be bankruptcy, everything they've had, they could lose. And that on its own will have a very traumatic kind of setback for a lot of people. So then the recoveries can be much more, a bigger challenge. So it's always be proactive. That's my message. And that's what I, practice for myself. And you'll see from all the different aspects by which we present different subjects, and we're bringing everything in that component of everything being energy. And so today, we are going to kind of revisit a little bit of what we've been doing, the work we've been doing with Jas, who was on our program last week. And if you haven't seen it, go and look what happened, because we also look at the dynamics of a home, not from a physical aspect. You could be actually looking at something being very beautiful, and yet you could be faced with energetic components in there that could really, they be acting like energy vampires on you. And so we are also energy at the different levels. And if these things are draining us, they can have also dramatic effects on us from, again, the word disease, you're out of balance, you must be in balance. So we have to look at this and address it many deep parts. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time. We're going to talk a little bit about Jas's experiences, and please watch what we did over at her place, because that was a big awakening for me too. As I was introduced to her and with her challenges, wanted to really kind of explore the background to the homes we're living in. And I see this more as I'm coming into more and more places today, that beautiful homes, but yet there could be negative impacts on people's lives, their family, and so on. And so, we get all kinds of challenges, and we are entering a time frame where all this technology that's being used, and we need technology, who can live without cell phones and computers? Yes, we need to be aware of some of the other negative impacts. And so for me, it's always, what can we do to protect yourself from these things, from simple devices to some that are more complex but effective. And it's by means of measuring it, and then whatever can be measured can be managed. And in the arena that I work with, very often much of this stuff is not measurable, or it is, but it is not well known as to how to go about it. And certain things that I've been gifted with, technology and information, has allowed me to kind of work with that. So as I got introduced to Jas a couple of weeks ago, and went into her home, had the privilege of looking at the background, and wow, what a discovery that was of all the negative energy that exists. And then, of course, we start coming up with solutions. Again, bring the solutions in, and we hooked up the coil, which we have sitting right here in front of us as well. Various frequencies that we work with, and we could see how various frequencies were impacting. So we could balance your home a lot more. And yet when we played around with some other frequencies, we found out that they were not suitable for you. right? And there were some of the planetary stuff, and so we can see as now there's a lot of stuff even from the cosmos, okay, with the ways that the planets are aligning, with the, what they call the blood moon and all sorts of things. I'm not really too much in touch with all that, but I'm aware in the background that these things are happening, and then how this can change an awful lot of people's behavior. So it has physical effect, emotional effects, mental effects. It affects us at many different levels.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you know, when you're talking about this from an overall health perspective, people bring themselves and they book appointments with different doctors. Really, it's not for a lack of drugs or a lack of surgeries, you know, but it's all about the energy part of it. So I'm going to ask you, after we were there, we did those measurements and then we did the correct changes. How do you feel now? How is it again? How is it affecting your other family members who were also suffering from the negative consequences?
Yeah. Well, normally I'm a very high energy person, and I haven't had a problem with, you know, what I need to do and how I need to do it. But I think once I got sick and the impact of the chemo and the radiation, and then just the after effects of the chemo and the radiation, and then the emotional and mental impact of how your life does change. You know, having support around definitely is very, very important. And I was, you know, very blessed and fortunate that I have my family and my friends that were truly there for me. The thing I didn't have was a partner. I'm a single mom, I've got kids, I had a career, and everything just stops. And so when you've been extremely busy, which I guess in the past my thought would have been the busier you are, the more successful you can be, the more faster you can get the things that you want. And I think as we go through our lives, one of the biggest things that we forget is how to take care of our bodies, mainly on the inside. Right? It's easy to take care of it on the outside because I can slap on makeup and make myself look great. But it's if the inside is not at true capacity, as I'm going to say, you know, organs are working well, blood flow is good, energy level, your mind is working properly. When you get sick, everything gets impacted, right? And the energy in the house, if I was to go back and say when you came over and read it, and it was as negative as it was, what I thought about was, okay, yeah, I had been feeling extra anxious. Anxiety level was extremely high where I could hear my heart pounding. Nervous, you know, inability to sleep, pain, all these kinds of things, headaches. It's definitely come down, so my anxiety is down for sure.
Good.
My daughter's anxiety is down. It looks like there is more calmness in the house. Conversations are more free-flowing as opposed to just reactions. I think when people are in an anxious state, you are less patient, so you're going to react faster. And the tone that you use or something might set somebody else off. So you have to be very aware. So when I first met you and through Parvinder and we had started looking at all the holistic different types of things, what can we do? It came through for me really as an awakening. You know, I'm 55 years old. I've got 4 kids. I've had a great career. Financially, I've done well. And then life happens and things take over, and the one thing that we don't protect is our health. And once that gets impacted, everything gets impacted. You know, obviously career-wise, you know, you can't function career-wise. You're not able to do or think, or I am not able to do and think the way I used to be able to do and think. Emotionally, you know, you lose yourself. You truly do lose yourself. When you're not able to do the basic or the most simplest thing, it's frustrating, it's depressing. So on side of dealing with the physical impact inside, then you start dealing with the mental impact on your brain. And if you can somehow help with, you know, the understanding energy, what it is, how it impacts you, or the environment that you're in, because sometimes it's just the environment. So what I found interesting from what we did at my house when we did the test first, and then we checked the different frequencies and the planets and stuff like that, there were certain frequencies that just did not sit right with me. In fact, as soon as we put Mercury, I think it was on, right away my heart palpitations got faster. And when we put it back on Earth, it was able to kind of calm down and subdue again.
You're meant to be on Earth right now.
Yeah, exactly, right? I'm not supposed to go anywhere yet, and I'm not going anywhere yet. But when you go through, I think when your energy is depleted, physically, emotionally, everything, you go into a state of depression. And as confident as I am and as vigorous I have been in my life in the past, again, being used to being the caregiver, the financial provider, having done well. I used to be the one that always got offered the jobs. I never applied. I got prospected for them. Making it up to the ladder the way I did. And then all of a sudden, like you say, you get sick, you can lose your job, and you still have bills to pay, and you still have life that has to be lived. I've got younger kids, you still got to look after them. Mentally it takes a toll. And so, when I started to go into the depression, it was right after the car accident. I felt from July up until October, I had worked a lot on my insides, through Ayurvedic medication, through holistic healing, through putting the right things in my body, and even before doing that, making sure it was a clean plate to start with as much as I could. And again, Pravinder was helping me. It really helped me bring my mental state up, because I had a regime to follow that was helping me get better. And that was after trying to go through the medical system and finding out, what can I do to get better? How can I make my body faster and more reactive again the way it used to be? And I wasn't getting that level of support. It's sad to say that I mean, while we need, all this research and everything, and we need cancer research and research for every different type of illness that there is, I wish we had a little bit more on prevention of those. Because as you've mentioned earlier, technology, cell phone towers. I mean, I've used a cell phone, when they used to be like those bricks, those big cell phones that you'd hold with two hands like this. So you think of all the negative impact of that. Then I think about the stress of my job. And as much as I loved it, I like accomplishing things. So I put more and more stress on myself in wanting to get things done faster and faster. Then it comes to accumulation of things, which to the world is success. And then you start accumulating things. And then, like you said, you don't take care of what the most important thing is yourself. So when you have run hard for a career, run hard for financial gain, because you're always thinking about, got to be able to retire properly, got to make sure my kids have something when I'm gone, got to do this, got to do this. But when life stops you, all that goes. So all the financial that I had acquired is now gone, because you go into take care of me now mode. And, the properties I had bought for my children, they're gone because I had to sell them. It's hard to financially manage upkeep and then also make up the surplus, the deficits on them and stuff like that. So that's all gone. I tapped into all my savings, because traditional medications are paid for through medical, and anything that you want to try that's different isn't paid for. So you can spend, $500-600 a month on the right supplements. Not the stuff that I'm going to go into a drugstore and pick up just off the counter. What does my body need? It's putting the nutrients in that it needs to strengthen, not the food out there that's on the shelves that's contaminated. So if you were to look at prevention, why aren't we saying this type of food is great, this isn't great, stop this, don't eat this stuff? We look at the pesticides and the what do you call, antibiotics and stuff that are used on animals just to keep them safe for us to consume. Well, that's so they don't get a disease. What happens when we put that stuff in our body, right? So I think it all comes down to awareness. I mean, if there's one thing that I can say to people is first take care of you. Materialistic things are exactly that. You can't take anything with you. And I think going through the life experiences that I've gone through, and at one point what I thought was important, it's not anymore. Peace of mind is important. Balance is important. Being with people that you love is important. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we think, or I thought, that success meant having things and working hard and having a position that was important and a title. And none of that really matters anymore. It does not matter.
You know, what they project is that about acquiring status,
yeah.
right? And but we know that when we are going along this, it's stress. There's stress at all these levels.
Yeah.
And
so meditation is very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I think if we look around now, more and more people of my generation are finding themselves. Mm-hmm. We're finding ourselves because we've gone through some kind of an adverse situation. It could be loss of job, it could be marriage, it could be sickness, it could be everything. It could be things that we go through with our children these days. It could be drugs, it could be anxiety, it could be so many different things. But if we can learn to, I think, just kind of take care of our brain, because our brain thinks it's going to control us and it wreaks havoc on the rest of it. Mm-hmm. So if we can start saying positive things to ourselves and applying positive methods that's doing good for your body, mind, and soul, I think we can definitely get better. And so I want to, you know, spread the word as much as I can from what I've seen, from what you've taught me, and the impact that it's made already in just a week. It's huge.
Key is always to generate whatever you're doing, whatever you're after and doing, is how to maintain everything in harmony.
Yeah.
I think this is the biggest problem we have. We're so disconnected from reality, nature, and as nature's way, we're part of nature, has intended for us really to kind of function and live. And we've been turned upside down. We've been given this materialistic view. You got to have this, do this, be someone.
Yeah.
Everybody tells you, you know, how it is. But you know, when you're not in harmony, you're not at peace.
Yeah.
How this is all kind of working out.
Yeah.
Then it puts a tremendous amount of stress. And stress overall, doesn't matter where it comes from.
Yeah.
Accumulated stress is what creates the disease condition, the out of balance condition, which then can manifest itself in a physical,
in so many different
mental,
ways.
Emotional state, right? And then again, because it's the mind, we've been often taught in the past that the mind, we think of the brain being the mind, but the mind is in every cell of your body. Mm-hmm. So if you're thinking, and I use that, our thinking gets us into trouble. We're told, we get that
100%.
Ingrained, those circuits, right? And then we act on it. But I think sometimes when we face what you're facing right now, this is a big wake-up call. This is not life. You know, somewhat on the wrong track. Was maybe great to have reflect back on it. You always learn from the past, always something to learn, so don't be in denial, right? It's there, it was part of my life. But what can I get from that to turn things around and make myself stronger today? Where do I need to put the emphasis, right? So that you can become kind of like, not be overcome by the thing, but you overcome in these things, you become stronger, you become like a pillar almost, where people can say, look at her, right? This is what's happened.
And you have to build it inside first.
Yes.
I mean, if people see me out there even now, when I do go out, I've kind of secluded myself a little bit for the past, I'm going to say 3-4 months, because confidence level goes down. You're picking up on different energies out there. you come to a lot of realizations on people and what energies they carry and what's said verbally and what's actually going on, and you can pick that up. So, you know, I always think it's a good way, it's always good to sometimes just step back. And I've had friends say, well, you're hiding. I'm not hiding because I like to be very aware. And that's awareness of negative and positive, of what's happening in my life, negative of who is around in my life, how is it impacting me, and then being able to make decisions to say, no, this is not good for me right now. And this is what I need to do. And as you said earlier, when everything's coming at you and you don't learn to become aware of it and then take care of it one thing at a time, everything just kind of implodes. And I did let that happen. You know, I allowed it to happen to myself. And mind over matter is a huge thing. You know, getting chemo treatments, the way I got through that, and I don't feel, honestly, that, people might say I'm crazy when I say this, but cancer wasn't a big challenge for me. I was going to beat it. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I decided that the first day after my the first chemo treatment, when I got up out of bed, I went, oh, I feel fine. But when I got out of bed and tried to walk to the bathroom and I couldn't do it, and I collapsed, and I went, oh my God, what's going on with me? That first week, I remember going, I'm dying. I feel horrible. My body hurts. Nobody will ever understand. You feel sad. You feel robbed. So many different things are going through you. And then I thought, okay, well, yeah, all this stuff aside, Jas, how are you going to get through this? And so one of the things I said to myself was, you know that the pain is going to be there for 7 days after you get your chemo treatment. You know your next chemo treatment isn't for another 7 days. So get through the 7 days and count them down, because on the 8th day, you're going to start feeling better again. And I think when you give yourself those positive things to look forward to and not beat yourself up for the way it is right now, it makes it easier. And then reaching out to friends is also huge, because you go into dark places, you get into really sad places, and I had friends that I could just phone and say, I don't feel like talking right now, but I just need someone to come sit with me. And they would come sit on my bed with me, and I would just lie there and they would just sit there, and we wouldn't talk, but they would just be there with me. Sometimes you need that kind of support. It's surrounding yourself with the right people and the right energy and making yourself first. Right.
Good. Well, with that in mind, I want to bring somebody into the picture here today.
Okay.
Right? And we're going to have Parvinder join us. And because, I think to share this story and to then also, see how else the world as a community, not just nearby, but allow other people to become aware of what your situation is. And there's going to be many more like yourself. And maybe when people come join together, where we've been sort of shortchanged by what we may be expected for us to be there, all of a sudden it's not there.
Right.
Then we have to get proactive in different ways, right? Yeah. Exactly.
I found
so come on in here.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. I was just going to say, through going through this journey, one thing I will say was, like you said, helping each other. I put it out on Facebook that I was, going through the cancer treatments and stuff, and it was nice how many people actually reached out looking for support and saying, I have a friend that's going through this. Do you mind talking to her? Oh, I have this happened in my family. These are the feelings I went through. And I think we need to learn to talk more and share more, because you never know who you're going to impact and how you're going to be able to give somebody else strength to carry on. Right? And Parvinder did that for me. She was very helpful, and so have you. So I appreciate both of you. Thank you.
So Jas, I'm just going to borrow your mic here.
Oh. Alrighty then.
Okay. There we go.
Violated.
So I'll just sit a little bit closer. So I understand you're sharing your story today.
Yeah.
About your journey before and after cancer and how you recovered, and but we haven't. I don't think you've really talked much about kind of what's going on right now.
Yeah.
So
right now, trying to get my life sorted out. Obviously,
Right.
I'm not able to work yet. Doctor has said no, I have to get myself balanced and stabilized. I've got my house up for sale. As you know, for the last 2-3 years, my family has been helping me tremendously.
yes,
And I don't like having that load on me, and I want to be able to pay people back. And so I'm thinking, put the house up for sale, pay everybody back, and sell whatever I need to sell for now and start afresh.
okay.
Right.
So Richard, you probably know Jas and I have been working together. Probably, I think we met last September
2017.
September 2017. And so when I first met Jas, I was actually introduced to her through a couple of really good friends of mine. And what they had said was, we want you to meet our friend Jas. She's going through a rough time right now. She just finished her last chemo treatment, but she may have another lump and she's really scared. And we're scared for her, but we're hoping maybe you could help her, somebody else that can help her. So when I first met her, she was in a state of, I would say, fear, and which most people are who have cancer, and especially if the doctors are not able to give them answers about what's going on. Because after her last chemo treatment, she was told, okay, now you're in remission, you're cancer free. So she needed answers about what was going on, where did this other lump come from, what is it? However, nobody was really able to answer her.
They didn't seem to want to actually, some just kept saying, well, it's inflammation due to the chemo, or it's a radiation. And I'm scared. I'm thinking, I found another lump here. It's come back. I did go back in for surgery again in September to get more lymph nodes removed. But it's just like, I think once the treatments were done, I felt honestly like I was lost. I had lost myself. I felt all of a sudden, from going from appointment to appointment every single day, to scans, to this, to that, lying in bed, to all of a sudden nothing. And I'm thinking something's not right. It just ends, like they just drop you like a hot potato. And then when things come up, and mine was that 15 hours I spent in emergency, and the doctors couldn't help me and they wouldn't do anything, and I was like, okay, now what? What am I going to do? And that's when I was introduced to Preventer, and you helped me a lot.
Well, I would say you helped yourself a lot. So what happened was basically that we were able to figure out what it was, and it was in fact inflammation. And we were able to combat it through different natural treatments. And then Jas was basically on her way to post-recovery. She was doing great. She was ready to enter the workforce again. She started seeing clients again, and her energy was great. She was going for walks every day. She took basically everything that in the natural health protocol that I gave her and ran with it. And we were all so happy for her and proud of her, but unfortunately, it didn't stay that way, because she ended up getting into a car accident and then went back into a state of pain and migraines and just, I would say, even depression.
Oh, big time depression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now, fast forward to the summer of 2018, she's been assessed by the government, and she's not able to work right now. However, bills need to be paid, and I want people to know this story because there are so many people going through this right now. There are so many people who, after cancer, are not able to work. they are not able to pay their bills. They are not able to look after their children, or whoever their dependents are. Maybe it's their parents, the way they were able to before they got sick. And a lot of it is because of the physical trauma, the physical aftermath of the treatments. A lot of it is because mentally they're exhausted. And emotionally they're drained because they have so much stress in different ways that their body is no longer able to handle at the same level that they could before they got sick. And I've been watching it happen to people around me. I've been watching it happen to my clients, and I feel like we need to do more to support them. I'm a holistic health practitioner, as you are. A lot of my background comes from Ayurveda. And so in Ayurveda, the health doesn't just start or stop at the physical level. We also have to deal with it at the emotional level, as you're seeing today. We're talking about her story. We're educating people. We're letting them know about what's going on. And in a way, it's also a warning to look out for yourself physically, emotionally, mentally. Don't worry so much about your financial goals, because once your health is gone, none of that matters. And so today, Jas is a living example of it, and so many other single moms and dads out there who are, sick or recovering from the sickness, and they're not able to provide for their families, and their own families are only able to help them a certain amount. So what can we do? So as an Ayurvedic practitioner, I feel like physically I can only help her so much if I'm not able to help her deal with her emotional strains. And so and a lot of her emotional strains right now are from financial, sort of the financial bills that are piling up post-cancer, and she's kind of in a state of anxiety, constantly just thinking like, okay, how am I going to pay for my next mortgage? Who do I ask for now? And not wanting to ask them. And understandably so. And so what some friends of mine and I have started for Jas is a GoFundMe page. We want to help her. So Jas, we want to help you basically get strong again. And we want you to be able to keep your house that you and your children are living in right now. We want you to stay in that house and recover and go back to the way you were before you got sick, which was a woman who was extremely social. She made everybody laugh wherever she went. She helped people financially without expecting anything in return. She wasn't loud about it. It was always privately done. And I would like to return sort of that goodness back to her. And I know there's a whole community out there who understands, because they've either gone through it or they know somebody who has. And I believe in what goes around comes around. So the GoFundMe page, we started it about 16 days ago. It's live now, and it is quite urgent because she already has her house up for sale. And so please, if anybody, if you know anybody, please share it on your page. I'll be sharing it on my page. If you know any government representatives that can help her, or if there's anybody out there who knows if there's financial assistance for cancer survivors, we're open to anything at this point.
Right.
The situation is quite urgent, so we'd like to help her right away so she doesn't have to keep going through this.
No.
And then maybe this will raise awareness for other survivors as well, and it'll raise awareness for anybody who unfortunately may have to go through this. So look after yourself is my message. Look after yourself physically and emotionally and mentally, and go for your morning walks. Eat as organic as possible. Meditate, because it reduces so much stress. And and most of all, enjoy your life every day, because that's all you have in the end. That's all that really matters.
Live in the moment.
Live in the moment.
With a great attitude. Don't forget to smile. And make other people smile, right?
Yeah.
As I said, laughter is the best medicine out there as well. Right?
Absolutely. Laughter is so important. Laugh every day.
Yes.
Every day. Watch comedies, read jokes, tell jokes as much as you can. Because in the end, like, that's all that matters, and that's all people will remember you for. They won't remember that, oh, she had this many houses or this many apartments, or they'll remember, hey, you know what, when I was in need, she helped me out, or when I needed a friend, she was there for me. That's what people will remember. So that's basically where we're at, Jas. So that's what we've done.
So just wanted to say that, again, this information we just want to share, we want to put out, be aware. We have one example of a great lady who currently is needing some help, but I'm sure there are many, many. And so we're just trying to appeal to the hearts of the people, right? We live in a real world, and I know that there's a lot of people with heart that are willing to somehow come to help and share in whichever way you can. Even just sharing this information with other people is going to be very important, right? So if you have any comments, we've got a couple here from Zdravka. Jas, you're amazing. Thank you for sharing your story. Bravo Richards, a wake-up call. It always is when we're facing these situations. It's always a wake-up call, and let it be that, right? Because, if, let's say, you get one more day, make it the best day of your life, okay? And be very positive in the strength that you can have, okay? Good to say that we be aware it is what it is. Yes, through what I can do to make change, and that's the whole thing too. Kuljit, thank you. She says, stay strong, right? So there you have some people, who are making comments, and we trust there'll be many more, and see what you can do. And we want to, certainly, like I say, there's going to be so many people, and we want to simply educate that at every level you can go perhaps through challenges, and it might affect you, and just be aware that everything gets down to stress. And stress is the biggest cause of disease, okay? So don't stress the small stuff. So many people do, okay?
And if I could just add, Richard, this is hard for me. I'm used to being the giver. Pretty much all my life, I've always just wanted to give back to community through volunteering, raising funds, feeding people down on Main and Hastings. And for me to be in this position, I can't wait to climb out of it, and I know I will. And I would never want another human being to be in this type of a position. So I think what you guys are doing right now is amazing, in that sometimes we do just have to help each other.
Absolutely.
And it's not financial, it can be emotional, it can be just,
sometimes it's just being there for another person, right? Yeah. Just being connected. So like you say, you have the friends sitting at the bed, whatever. It's the more we make ourselves connected with other people. This is what's kind of lacking in this fast-moving, materialistic world. It's all plastic, and you can see how the plastic is piling up everywhere. It's messing up our lives. So, there's many other things that take this plastic form, right? We got to get real again, get down to real life, and yeah. So we all want to, anyways, thank you for watching this today and sharing this with us, and please share comments that you have, any words of encouragement, please send them forward. Any sources of information that maybe you have experience with that we might be able to make aware that can help somehow in situations like this, please send it over to us.